Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Mile High Five podcast. I'm Doug Cunnington, and today I'm talking with my good buddy, Brad Finley. He is at an exciting point in his life where he's going to retire early. He's leaving his W-2 job in a few months. So some of you might know Brad because he's referred to as the Midwestern gentleman by my friend, Diania Merriam. And she's the founder of the EconoMe Conference. And Brad, for a couple years, I was like, Midwestern gentleman, is this guy totally under the radar? And then eventually I met you and I was like, oh yeah, like people know your name and everything. So welcome to the show today. I'm glad to have you on. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, doing exceptionally well. Yes, I am the Midwestern gentleman. You'll see me at EconoMe with a headset on, but happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Very good. Yeah. I'm pumped to catch up. We have seen each other many times at EconoMe, but often you're very busy. You're on the production team. You do a lot there. So I stay out of your way, and in passing, we'll be able to wave and just say hello. And then usually at the very end of it, when most of the activities have slowed down, you and I have been able to catch up over the last couple of years. And most recently, you let me know, hey, I'm leaving my job. It's coming up. So tell us a little bit about that. How much time do you have left? How much notice did you give your employer? And we're going to get into a little bit more of your backstory, but where do we stand right now?
So right now I'm about 4.5 months out. I timed it to finish off the year. We had a pretty full slate. I felt like that gave me enough time to get everybody ready for me to leave. It's been a small business that's kind of built around me. I think so. That might be my ego talking. But we're not going to hire replacements, so I'm going to kind of divvy up my responsibilities amongst everybody else. So I felt like that would give me enough time. I'm sorry, let me back up. I gave about 9 months notice. I actually had the epiphany at EconoMe during March. So my last day is going to be the night of the day of the Christmas party. So where I stand right now is we're getting through most of what we need done. And now I'm kind of going through my database of information, getting everybody ready, setting up systems and processes, and it's starting to actually get real. I've been so busy, it just felt like just a normal workday. Like I went through telling everybody a few months ago, telling my staff, and ever since that day, we just kind of carried on business as usual. Finally getting to the point where I'm really starting to feel it and starting to imagine what my life is going to look like without this, and starting to come to terms with how I feel about it. And I'm kind of grieving what I thought this was going to be, and where do I go from here? So it's a variety of emotions. It's wild.
Well, let's dive a little deeper in something you just said. Like you mentioned the word grieve. Can you expand on that a little?
So to give you a little context, it's a business about it's painting ATM machines and doing vinyl wraps and anything that has to do with an ATM environment. And I wear a lot of different hats. I've really expanded into quite a few things. This was everything to me. Like I didn't finish college. I kind of jumped into this in my early 20s. I was bartending part-time for 10 years while I was building this into something where I could have a really substantial income. And I really put everything into this. I sacrificed a lot. The problem with this business, you got to be on the road a lot, especially when you're hands-on, when you're out there in the field. And I sacrificed a lot of time with my family, and like I never had any equity in this company, but I pretended like I did. I was a good employee, man. Like I really cared about every aspect. I cared about the money that was being spent. I cared about the quality of the work. I cared about a reputation. I cared about the fulfillment of the people I was working with. I got better at that as we carried on, and I really had a dream of what it could be. And then I kind of came to the realization a couple years ago that this is not my business. And I've kind of hit my ceiling. I love the man that I work for. I love the company that I work for. It is his business, and that's totally okay. It just wasn't what I had in mind. So I'll go through moments where I feel like maybe I was a little naive. Maybe I put in a little too much effort. Maybe I paid a little bit too much of an emotional tax. Maybe I gave up too much time. And it didn't turn out the way that I wanted, but I'll also kind of bounce back, and I'll realize the grit that I learned from it, the circumstances that I put myself in, and things that I did that really scared me. And I really feel like I showed up and did something. There's a lot of times we went out as a team. We did some really hard projects, good relationships, had some good experiences. And I became a man. I was a lost kid. I was a troubled kid. I got into a lot of trouble when I was in my young 20s. And then I'm really proud of the man that I am now, the people that I work with and the work that we've done. So I kind of bounce back and forth,
Yeah. And it's like you had to go through all that to get to where you are now. So it's like, maybe not how you would have like planned the story in the beginning, but you're happy where you are now.
Oh, yeah.
How old are you now?
43.
43. All right. So you've been there 20 some odd years or so, close to it?
Yeah. Started part-time when I was 19, full-time since 23.
Wow. Yeah. That is a long time. Amazing.
Yeah. It freaks me out.
How old do you feel? Yeah. Cause I'm 46 and it's like, man, I feel awesome. And maybe I think I feel about 32 or so.
I feel 43, but I feel great. You know what I mean? Like I got the wisdom, I got the gray hairs, we're working out skin issues and toenail issues. We're doing stuff as a 43-year-old man. I have a substantial relationship with my chiropractor. Diana sees the same guy. We run into each other there. I'm doing 43-year-old stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about my feelings. This is 43 stuff, but I feel like I'm in great shape. My diet is good. My sleep is good. I'm doing supplements. I've put more into my health this year than I ever have. So I feel fantastic, but 43.
All right. Okay. This is great. So we'll probably come back to health and fitness and that sort of thing. We'll also talk about the Hoffman process. That's something that you went through a few months ago. And I think everyone that I've talked to it's been a big impact. Probably like anything, it's as much effort as you put in is what you're going to take away sort of thing. But I'm interested to hear your experience there and kind of like what's coming up for the future. So when did you first hear about like the FI movement and fire and all of that stuff? How did this come into your life?
I was on a date with this girl, Diana, and she was telling me all about it. I had never heard of it. I pretty much had the principles. The man that I work for, he recommended the Millionaire next door. And I adopted those principles because I knew I wanted something more and I was broke. My previous wife had a 4-year-old child when we got together, and we got together when I was 22. So we were raising a kid when we were young, and we were both working class people, and she went to college during our relationship. So we were just broke, and we adopted the Dave Ramsey principles. My dad went through the Financial Peace University, and then he recommended that. And I took some of that, stuff in cash and envelopes, stuff like that. I was smart enough to start a Roth when I was like 21. But what's actually really embarrassing is I was putting like $200 a month into a Roth, and I was looking at the statements. I was like, there's really isn't much growth. And the guy who started it, he was only 4% of what I was contributing was going into the market. It was just sitting there in cash, and I didn't pick up on that because I was young and dumb and nuts. But anyway, and then I started to pick up those principles, and Diana told me about the fire movement and Mr. Money Mustache and her endeavors, and it was on from there.
Got it. Okay. And if you check out other interviews, I feel like I've talked to Diana a few times, but if you look back through the archive, there will be stories of the first date and Skyline Chili. So I won't tell the story here. Some people are familiar with it, but go back in the archive, folks. It's a good story.
Oh, yeah.
So you were doing a good job. You came up working class, roughly frugal. You knew that you probably didn't want a lot of debt. So you were trucking along, and Diana got you engaged in this fire movement. You have been working, but probably you were thinking, at some point, I'm going to leave the W-2. How did that process go and over the last few years or so?
Yeah, I mean, even throughout, her starting EconoMe, even in the beginning years, I never anticipated that this was actually something that I was interested in for the foreseeable future. I was very invested in this business, and I thought I loved it, and I thought I wanted to continue doing it. So I never really gave it much thought until a few years ago when it just I wasn't happy. I mean, you go through these periods where all of a sudden you can feel like physical nausea in your stomach, like I'm bored, feel like I'm not going anywhere. And so I started to wrap my head around it. And we actually met with Cody Garrett. I guess he's a financial advisor that's very popular amongst his community. And he told us we were good about a year and a half ago when he looked at our money situation and was giving me all the reasons in the world, but I still couldn't do it. There was just something pulling at me. And this is, I guess, work has been part of my identity my entire life. So then I started to wrap my head around, I am going to make a change, but I thought that I wanted to figure out exactly what I wanted to do before I was going to pull the trigger. And I really went along with that. And I was, really going hard into real estate and forcing myself to listen and do the research and run the numbers and go to the real estate meetups. And I was doing this and that and exploring different things. But when I'm in it right now, I'm not thinking with a clear head. I feel like I need to get away from it before I can really make that leap. And it was actually the weekend of this past EconoMe. I was laying in bed. I guess I was struck by the energy in the room, and I'm around all these people. It's funny. I'm around all these early retirement people, and I never even thought of it as a reality for myself. And then I just had an epiphany that this needs to happen, and I need to set this date. And I decided that it would be the end of the year. And here we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've been at the EconoMe conferences for years. And it's funny. It's like finally whatever stars aligned and you were like, oh yeah, I should maybe do this too.
Yeah.
As a side note, yeah, my wife, Elizabeth, she quit like 18 months ago or so at this point, roughly. She loves it. She absolutely loves it. I hope you find the same contentment and satisfaction that she has. Because we were both engineers. We worked corporate jobs, but when you have, or like the job that you had, Brad, where like you built it around you, you put a lot of time and effort into it. It's like there's all these sunk costs, not just like the work that you've done and whatever employees that you trained and the team that you built and all the stuff, but it's like your network also. There's like all these things, all sunk cost, and it's a little bit hard to walk away. One thing that you mentioned is like the identity piece, and I hear people talk about it. Basically, it's hard for them to move away from that identity. And I'm curious, how is that playing out for you as you know that you'll be transitioning into no W-2 and just an independent dude?
I've done a lot of work on trying to figure out exactly the identity crisis. And I realized that this isn't my identity. I'm a lot more than that. It has a lot to do with the Hoffman experience that I just went through. Keeping really busy and being very task oriented. I'm very diligent about stuff. I can get things done. I'm very responsible at work, which is also very physical, very task oriented. Dotting the I's, crossing the T's, doing the checklist thing. I'm not addressing the things that are really kind of going on inside of me. It's just kind of a numbing agent. It just distracted me from what's really going on and really not putting a lot of thought into really who I am as an individual and what I really want to do. Not really giving myself that enough agency to figure out what my passions and what my interests are, and separating myself from somebody that needs to constantly be working and accomplishing something.
Interesting. Yeah, I could relate to that a lot. Mm-hmm. And one thing you probably know, Carl and I were working on a book on laziness and like anti-productivity. And we never got around to finishing it, ironically. But the thing is, I similar, like list of to-dos, physical work and stuff like that. And over the last couple of years, I've been able to like do less and less. And then as time went on, it's like the inbox fills up. And that was another thing where I could like, keep busy. Now I kind of let my inbox fill up. I'm much slower to do things. So there is hope to be able to move away from that.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if I'm obviously not the model that you're going after, but I'm hardly ever in a rush and I'm very calm most of the time. And that works really well for me.
I'm taking many steps. What helped was turning off email notifications on my phone.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's a big step. Yeah.
Do you have banners turned off too, so it doesn't even tell you that you have emails in there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
That's a great thing. That was a cool thing when my dad and I were in Yellowstone. Basically, my phone didn't work. I had no data, nothing. So it's just like, oh, I could use this as a camera, and that's about it. It's not going to be a distraction in any way. Okay. There's so many different areas I want to go into, so I need to focus up. We'll talk more about the Hoffman process, but like you mentioned that staying busy was just like a way for you to avoid things that you really needed to work on. Can you expand on that?
When I went into this Hoffman process, it's a 7-day digital detox retreat. And it's in Petaluma, California. It's on this beautiful property. And Diana went to it about 18 months before I did. And she was in the throes of one of the deepest depressions of her life. And I was feeling it right there with her. And I could see how much it affected her. And she came out totally transformed in a way where just had a glow about her and totally invigorated and just had a new lease on life and the relationships that she had and with her mother and her deceased father and my son and in our relationship. And I filed that away under something that I really wanted to experience, but never really thought of it as something that I really had to go through. So I just decided that knowing that I was going to leave my job, that this would be great for me, just a reset, go to California for this retreat, for this adventure. It just felt very poetic to add this into my year, but not really looking at it as something like I really have to do this. And then you start filling out the paperwork into this thing and it's primarily your patterns and your family history and whatnot. And you start filling out the paperwork and you don't realize kind of what you went through as a kid and the relationships that you had with the parents and stuff that you really you haven't thought about in years that you just kind of set aside to get through your life. And then as you start digging into that stuff and start getting into your patterns, you start to realize that it's the stuff that you've picked up over the years and the stuff that you buried. And there was a relationship with my mother that was deceased that I was estranged from for 5 years. And she passed away about 7 years ago. Through this work, I was able to forgive her and start to develop a post-mortem relationship with her. And it's funny, I didn't realize how much I needed that. I didn't realize the weight that was lifted over that. I didn't realize the power of forgiveness. And I didn't think I was capable of that much compassion I almost thought I was being stoic, and I felt like I was certainly in the right holding those feelings together. It's just like I did. I treasured those feelings for some reason. So I really needed that and just, patterns of avoidance. And that was probably my primary pattern and rumination and whatnot. And part of avoidance was just not really focusing on things that I really want to do in life, the things that I'm passionate about, the things that really excite me. I was able to just avoid that through work and through getting things done. And so just realizing that it's always been my default to focus on like my primary skills from this job, whether it's body work, construction oriented stuff, fabrication, vinyl wraps, stuff like that. So I kind of thought that it would be an easy transition to start flipping houses or something in that nature. Start getting into rental properties, whatnot, get into some flips. But I really need to tap into some sort of a creativity. That's really what I want to do. That's really what fires me up. That's when I get into my flow state, when I'm creating something, when Diana and I are creating something together, when we're making each other laugh. A lot of the stuff that we create is just stuff to make each other laugh, whether it's a gift or just something to pass the time. And just kind of going back to when I was a teenager, I guess I was pretty immature. I was a troubled kid. The only thing that got me excited was doing stand-up comedy. That was the only thing that I felt passionate about. And I've taken time to kind of write some stuff a little bit here and there in Notes app. And I've always been really good at telling stories, and I've had a little bit of a crazy life. So I'm always good in front of a crowd. So I know it's time for me to at least try it.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking at it seriously as a career path, but it's something that I absolutely have to do to at least get the creative juices flowing. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I need to be on more. I need to sit with it. I need to sit in the discomfort. I need to write and I need to create and I need to get away from my default.
Very cool.
Oh yeah.
I love it. So did you ever do an open mic or anything, or have you yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. And I know Diana did a little bit, right? She's done stand up.
She did, yeah.
Huh, that's funny. All right, we'll have to talk about that more. So interesting. Who are some of your favorite comics currently?
Well, growing up, it was a big George Carlin fan. And he kind of warped my sense of, how I feel about government and religion and everything in general. He's probably the main one. I actually got to meet him once after a show. Yes. Yeah. I have a dollar bill signed by him. Richard Pryor is a big one. I would say one of the most significant specials was Chris Rock. The Bring the Pain special came out in like 96. And I was a big fan of comedy, and my aunt lived next door and she had HBO and she had the VHS recorder and everything. That was her thing. She would record stuff off HBO. It was very cute, very quaint. Everything was labeled. It was beautiful. I knew I wanted to go over there to record this Chris Rock special and I would have it forever. It was a big deal. The thing is like I sat down to watch it and she sat on the couch with me. I mean, this is a very conservative Christian woman. Very sweet. Love my auntie. And she sat next to me and watched Chris Rock Bring the Pain. And if you could imagine, if anybody has ever seen that special, I want you to imagine sitting next to a very conservative member of your family when you're in the 8th grade. But I got it. I remember just watching the tape turn and I was like, oh, I'm going to get it. It's going to happen. I'm going to sit through the discomfort. And I did. And I watched it over and over again. And I was a big fan of In Living Color growing up. I think that really, that really shaped my personality. And I go so many different directions with stand-up. I love Moshe Kasher and Pete Holmes and Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle. And I'm a big fan.
Yeah, that's exciting. So I lost my train of thought of where we were. So creativity is good. And it sounds like that's something that's very important to you. And I love you were like, we try to make each other laugh, but like really like you want to write comedy and like explore that a little bit. That's pretty awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about the Hoffman process, if there's anything else to take away. So you described, it's a digital detox, 7-day retreat, very full days. It's very intense, right? What else could you tell us about it?
You turn on your cell phone and your laptop and you start each day about 7:30 and it goes until about 9:00 at night. And it's full days. It's a lot of like group work with amongst of your whole class is about 39 people. Then you have small groups of about 6 people. And it's a very carefully curated process. It's been going on for about 30 plus years. And they have ways of just bringing things out on you that you had no idea. It's a lot of pretty gnarly expression work. But when you're separated from your phone and you're bonding with these people and sharing this emotional experience, like you get into it. And it's totally what you make of it and what you take out of it. I'm always like a pretty social person, pretty good acquaintance, like in small doses. But I know in this scenario, I would find myself sitting amongst like meeting every single person there and making sure like I had some one-on-one time with each person. It was just that type of bonding experience. Plus it's on this beautiful property. It's, you're walking to breakfast through this trail and you're seeing like all these deer and everything. They're so close to you. They almost like animatronic. And you walk away with, it felt like 38 really close friends. And there's a group chat, there are Zoom calls pretty much bi-weekly, and everybody keeps in touch. And there's also, some practices that you can take with you to kind of keep you into the process. And this is something that Diana always tried to do for a little while after she got out of Hoffman, but it's just not the same by herself. So together we do a morning meditation where we do this thing called a quadrinity check. And so, Doug, you gotta check in on the body, you gotta check in on the intellect, And then you got to check in on the emotional child. And then you get into the spiritual self and the spirit guide. I didn't join Scientology when I was out there, I promise. And we do this every day. And it's a meditation, and then we write it down, then we recite it to each other. And it really helps you check in with your partner to see what's going on, and to check in with yourself, what's going on with you, especially somebody that's like, I'm not used to like checking in on my feelings. Gets a little redundant every day, but you find yourself coming up with some new material. And then we end the day with like 3 things you appreciate about yourself, and then 3 things that you're grateful for that day. And it's been really galvanizing. Like, we already had like a really good relationship. Like, it's really fun being married to Diana. I absolutely love it. Like, she's my ride or die. She's my best friend. She's awesome. But it's impactful for the both of us. And we both had family stuff that we really had to dig into. You got to lift up the rocks. You got to look at the pill bugs, see what's going on there. So it's been the most impactful experience of my life.
You mentioned that you had a breakthrough in forgiving your mother, who passed away 7 years ago. Like, was that on your radar? Were there things that you were thinking, I want to work on this through the Hoffman process? Or what intentions did you have going into it?
I'm a personal junkie. I mean, a personal development junkie nerd. I'm doing the podcast. I'm always looking for the new thing, looking to read the next book and implement the next daily routine. So I kind of looked at it like that, like, yeah, I'll go and I'll work some stuff and I'll have an experience, and we're going to tie it into this trip to Yosemite afterwards with my family. And, that'll be that. And I knew I was probably going to have to address the stuff with my mother. I had no idea to that extent. Deep down, I thought I was just always going to kind of hold on to that grudge, and I thought I was justified. I didn't realize how much I needed it, and the weight that it's like the shield was taken off my heart and my soul, and it's like I felt like all this energy came out, and I'm able to use that in different capacities. I had no idea I needed that.
I want to switch gears and talk a little bit more about the FI stuff. Is there anything else, either Hoffman-wise or stuff that we've talked about so far that you want to cap off before we move on?
I don't think so. I think we got it all capped off.
Right. So you're leaving your W-2. It sounds like you had a reasonable foundation financially, probably didn't have a huge amount of debt, but fill in the gaps. Like, did you have to have a lot of like adjustment to get into a position to be able to leave your W-2? And then I'm asking like 4 questions at once, but I'll let you just tell the story how you like.
No, I got you.
Do you need to have another job? Are you coast-fi? Do you need to cover cash flow or anything like that? And again, I'm giving you a lot of leeway to just talk about the FI setup along the way and where you are now.
So we got, I would say, probably 1.5 to 2 years in cash of living expenses. And so we're just going to hang off of that. I mean, there is an income that Diana draws from EconoMe. I had to be reassured by her several times. And she's the best hype woman on the planet. You know what I mean? And we're good, but I mean, we're not done, So that's taken a little bit of a mental adjustment, but I think I'm there. I think so. The plan is, so I'll be done the end of the year. We're going to have Christmas break. And we're going to start out. So we'll have a few months to get ready for EconoMe. So take that time to kind of chill a little bit, help her get ready for the conference. Couple things. There's actually a stand-up course that I want to take. It was recommended by one of my people from Hoffman. She works in LA. She works for Paramount, does stand-up comedy. She really recommended this course by this one specific guy. So I'm going to do that. I think that'll help me kind of get my creative juices flowing. There's also, we want to start doing the artist way together. Diana and I, a couple friends are going to join us in that. So we're going to start with that, thinking about doing, Jillian Johnsrud has the mini retirement course we're thinking about taking. So we're going to start really slow with that. So at least for the first quarter, taking courses, relaxing, just enjoying our day, just see what it's like if we just have some life, without anything hanging over me. I've never had my entire brain to myself as an adult without something daunting over me. I hope it doesn't make me crazy.
That I think you'll be fine. It will take some adjustment. So, did you listen to this podcast a lot, like with me and Carl over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. So you probably heard like Carl's like, I'm pretty busy. Like I got this and that. And it's like, he's a person that even though he retired, he stayed like extremely busy with stuff. And I mean, I think if you asked him, he would also say, maybe a little bit too busy. So that's definitely an area that I would caution you because, if you are used to having a list and like knocking stuff out and like all that stuff, there will certainly be a transition period and it's really easy to stack it on too much. Sounds like are you a little worried about that? Or are you thinking, I'm going to have this free time and hopefully I won't go crazy with possibilities?
It's gonna have to be structured to a certain extent. I think, Diana and I will be spending primarily our time together. It's going to be, I love working out. I have a lot of interest. I have a lot of hobbies. So I do think I'll fill the space. Like I'm not going to sit there and just watch Succession all over again, going to rip through Game of Thrones all again. Like I'm not going to do that. Like there is going to be structured time spent.
What we found is we can't imagine having to work again because like our days are pretty full. And it's like, I went to the gym for like a quick workout this morning for like 30 minutes. And then I'll probably either work out or walk outside again this afternoon. But I'm like, I could do a super short workout and then take a break, chat with you, Brad, do some other stuff in the afternoon. I love cooking as well. Like our days are totally full. Like Elizabeth, she volunteered at the library and helped one of our other retired friends like move something in her garage. Like the days are full and there's a decent amount of time where we sit around and like hang around with the dog, for example. So it's like, you have how old's your house?
1920s, I think.
Yeah. So there's always projects or something broken. You got to change a filter, the vent broke or something like that. So it's like if you have a house, especially an older one, it's like there's always projects around. There's always a thing to do or clean. And then you have a new pup. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we adopted a primarily Saint Bernard. I think about 54% is the stats on her. Great Dane mix, got some Bull Mastiff in her too. Looked her up through an adoption agency and we went to PetSmart just to have us a look. And she got out of the cage and did the thing where she like buries her head into you. And we sat on the floor at PetSmart with her. And then we took home this giant dog. It wasn't in the plans of that day. We bought a giant cage, a giant crate, all the food, all the stuff. I drove my Lincoln MKZ. So we ended up having to use the leash that they gave us to tie down my trunk to something down below to strap in that cage. And then she just sat in the back and just drooled all over my son. They said she was 2 years old. Turns out through a DNA test and, taking her to the vet, she could be 10 months old. So we have ourselves a puppy. You could tell like with the paws on her, and she's beautiful. She's very well behaved. Whoever trained her did a fantastic job. Well, she's getting on the couch now. I'm trying to keep her out of the bed, but she's getting on the couch. She doesn't beg for anything. She barely barks. She's great around people and other dogs. She's the toast of the town. Everywhere you take her, she's this beautiful dog, and people stop and rave about her. Diana's obsessed about her, and we're having a great time. We went like 6 months without a dog, and here we are scrambling to find somebody to watch when we want to go out of town. We're right back to it.
Yeah. How big what's your dog's name?
Edith.
How big will Edith get, do you think?
She's coming in about 106. So they're thinking maybe 130. It feels like it could be more. She's eating a lot. I mean, it's two hands on the poops too.
Yeah.
Good
Lord. Yeah, those are like the biggest breeds you could possibly think of. Like the three biggest ones I could think of. Amazing.
Yeah, not an ounce of little dog in her.
Yeah. That's awesome. Again, I forgot where we're going. Okay, so we're thinking about having structure through the day. And I'm curious, how concerned are you about missing work, having the identity and the ego come back in? Are you thinking you'll just stay busy or just work through it as you have free time and have to figure out what to do with yourself?
I'm anticipating I'm going to feel it, but I got to sit with it. I got to sit with the discomfort and see where it takes me.
Mhm.
It's going to lead me somewhere. That's why I got to get away from this work. I thought in the beginning I would, you know, start my own ATM business, get somewhere, make a lateral move, but I got to get away from it. I gotta clear my head and see where my passion takes me. And I know there's going to be some discomfort, but I got to sit with it, man. I got to feel it and see where it takes me. I do, like we were talking before, I do have to have some structure to my day, but at the same time, I want to kind of see where my passions take me at the same time and just experiment with just a total free flowing lifestyle.
Gotcha. Well, and one couple things you mentioned. So like you'll stop working, you'll have Christmas holidays, and then I imagine it's a lot of work from January all the way until EconoMe in March. Is that accurate? Like you guys are both pretty busy doing stuff, planning and everything, or?
She'll be busy. I mean, I will aid her and help her kind of talk through some stuff. But realistically, my end is just logistics, doing the stage and, renting the van and getting the sharing library and getting all the merch. And so it's not a huge amount of time. And she's pretty well prepared this year. She's really excited. This is the most excited I've seen her about the event. Like seeing her really come into her own with this conference is really special.
It's so fun. And it is sold out, but we'll link up and people can get on the wait list. So there's often tickets which are available closer to the date. So even if it says sold out, like make sure you're on the email list. So one thing I'm curious about is where you're going to be, because Diania works at home, right?
Yes.
And then conceivably, when you have been working, you're out of town or you're at the office or you're doing something, you're going to and from, you're not at home, but you will now both be home all the time, potentially. What's the plan for that?
See how it fits.
Okay.
She's excited about it. Like right now, we really enjoy our company and I still like my alone time. She's talked about wanting to work out together. I've never wanted to work out with anybody. That is my time. And I'm going through this thing. I'm actually in a walking boot right now. I'm trying to fix a stress fracture in my foot. So I'm anticipating I'm going to get that taken care of. I could start playing basketball again. I've had some back issues, so I want to get into some hot yoga, do that on a consistent basis,
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm looking at tapping into some things I've always wanted to tap into.
That's cool. Well, let's talk more about fitness and stuff. So you mentioned basketball. What other kind of things you do?
Yeah, it's mainly weightlifting. I'm definitely a meathead in that. I've always done that since I was about 15. I'm getting more structured with it. Like I actually got the Arnold Schwarzenegger, the pump app. That's great. I'm getting a little tired of it, but for somebody that's looking for some structure with weightlifting, that's been really good. I love hot yoga. I play golf, play basketball, love hiking. I would like to start getting it. I'm experimenting with getting a cold plunge. I was always into the Wim Hof method. Have you ever heard of that?
I have, yeah, but explain it a little for folks that don't know.
Yeah, it's Wim Hof, this crazy Dutch guy. If you look him up, look up his Vice documentary. It's about 30 minutes. It gives a good background check into him. And he came up with this breathing method where it's, you take about 30 deep breaths in. There's definitely a practice to it. Then you let it out and then you retain your breath. And you keep doing that for certain rounds. I mean, it kind of starts out where you retain your breath for like 45 seconds. And it can get to the point where you're retaining your breath for like 4 minutes at a time. And it feels amazing. I could get into the science about it, but I can't remember it. And I don't have my notes with me, Doug. I can't really get into it, but it feels really good. And cold exposure is a big part of that. Like he has a lot of world records where he hiked the Himalayas in shorts and he submerged himself in ice for 45 minutes. A lot of it has to do with these breathing techniques. Actually, you can see in the Vice documentary where they wanted to test him in these techniques and they injected him with some E. coli And he was able to fight off the infection with his breathing techniques. It's crazy. And then it's like, oh, well, you're the Iceman. You're a freak of nature. So they tried it with actually people that had never done it before. And then he trained them for like 3 days. And then they injected them, I think, with the E. coli, and they were able to fight it off too. So, if you see me, if you can probably hear me in the next room doing my heavy breathing, it's a little obnoxious, but I'd like to tap in more to that. And actually, you can become a Wim Hof instructor when I'm playing around with things that I could possibly do. Like I thought about flying to Denmark and trying to meet him and become a Wim Hof instructor. Like I always wanted to travel to a foreign land and get trained by a sensei. That's always been on a bucket list. Like my favorite movie is Kill Bill. My favorite character is Pai Mei. Like if I could I just want a sensei,
That's pretty funny. All right. So very active. Sorry to hear about your foot. Is it like just overuse kind of injury?
Something happened over the course of time. I've had issues with that foot, and I wasn't into functional medicine at the time. For years, I've been getting cortisone shots, which was the wrong thing to do. So there's a little bit of arthritis in there. And I had an MRI, and it turns out there's a stress fracture. And I've been just walking on it a certain type of way for 3 months. We did all of our hiking through Yosemite and Cuyahoga Falls on my little stress fracture. So I just got it a couple of days ago. So hopefully in 8 weeks, I'm good to go.
Yeah. Dang. One sort of related question. It sounds like you do team sports. So I'm curious, like one issue sometimes that early retirees have is there's not folks for them to hang out with. Here in Longmont, there's a bunch of other retired people. And I think for men our age, sometimes they don't have a lot of friends outside of work. However, I'm in a great location. So I'm actually like, we're trying to be friends and we'll do stuff. Do you have friends, male friends that you'll be able to be like, hey, let's go play golf or let's go for a hike or whatever?
No.
No, it's you got time.
It's when P was on your podcast, he was talking about how men when they get older, it's almost like their wives bring their friends to them. It's like you find yourself hanging out because your wife, makes plans with another couple, and then you find yourself just being arranged like a play date with another man. And that is pretty accurate. I do have really good friends, but they're all working class dudes and they're all still going to be working. And they're all pretty heavy on the beer drinking. I'm not doing alcohol anymore. So we've lost some of that. I can still hang out with them. I'm not the type of person that can't be around it, but it's definitely taking some of the edge off our relationship. So that's kind of part of the process, is starting to build some new relationships. And I don't want to be that where I'm having my wife take me on play dates with other men. I would like to move beyond that.
Yeah. No, it's interesting and it's good we're talking about it because like it takes effort. You have to fucking put yourself out there and like potentially like make an awkward. You're like, hey, do you want to play? Blah blah blah. But one thing I have been doing is playing music with a couple of friends. So I've mentioned it a couple of times. But I have a friend, Tyler, who he lives sort of on the south side of town, but he'll make the drive up. He plays the drums and I play the guitar. And then actually Pete joined us just earlier this week to play bass. So we have a full rhythm section and it's a lot of fun. None of us are like super good. So we're at a close enough level where I think everybody had a good time. That has been our little outlet, and it's fun and time goes by really quickly. It's like social, it's mentally stimulating. I have to like practice and like plan ahead and be like, all right, I don't want to let the guys down. I need to work on this song more, that sort of thing. But yeah, it definitely takes effort and you have to put in the time, and everybody you hang out with is not going to work out and all that kind of stuff. So I am interested to hear what comes of this.
Yeah, it's going to be my intention. I got to put myself out there.
It's, there's plenty of hiking groups or other kind of things. So there's always a way. And, with the team sport stuff where you play like pickup basketball at the gym or something like that, or play or something. Okay.
Yeah. It's LA Fitness. They got a court there. So yeah, a lot of pickup.
Nice. Okay. So that can always work out. And you probably, you recognize people, but you don't hang out outside of the the gym, most likely.
Yeah, I keep to myself in the gym.
Okay.
Little trash talk on the basketball court, but other than that, I'm just keeping it moving,
It's interesting because like now everybody has devices and headphones in, so there's a lot less talking. Like you went to the gym like since you were a teenager or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like back in the day, like more people would talk, like you knew more folks, right? It's a different vibe in gyms nowadays, right? Do you observe that?
I'd say my gym seems actually pretty friendly. People actually seem to be making friends. It's just not me. Yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of my thing, my zone,
Yeah.
That should be part of my intention. I should open myself up a little bit. I just get bored talking about lifting and stuff. I don't know. Got a protein user. I don't know. Maybe I should try it.
Yeah. Well, I hear you though, because that is my zone also. And usually I have headphones in, but on certain days I'll chat more and like take out the headphones or whatever, but not always. Cause sometimes I'm just like, I just want to do my fucking stuff and I don't want to talk to anyone. I have my music on or I'm listening to a podcast. Do you listen to podcasts when you work out or?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Either that or music.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like, sometimes you're in your zone and you don't really want to make small talk. So I get it, but okay. We'll come back to that. And one thing we didn't mention earlier, but Brad, I hope you'll join me again in a future episode to catch up, to hear like how everything's going, what you were able to work out as far as a schedule and like things that you didn't anticipate. And actually let's move on to something a little different. Inevitably, someone's going to ask you, hey, what do you do? What answer will you have for them?
I might have to I got to jot down some ideas. I think I'm going to be fine with just saying nothing and just sit in the silence. Maybe tell them I'm freeloading. Yeah. I'm in between success stories. I'm experimenting with unemployment. I got fired in haste. I don't know. I'll come up with something.
Yeah. One unsolicited suggestion, if you want it. It's an easy one, but like Jillian's talking about, I'm taking a little mini retirement sabbatical. People like, again, people our age, right? It's like, I'm taking a sabbatical. I'm sort of like in between stuff right now. And, it depends on who you're talking to and if you want to keep talking to them or not. Cause like, if you just say nothing, that's a good conversation killer if you need it to be. But if you do want to chat with people, then you could get into it a little bit more.
I'm starting to feel it now when people ask me what I'm going to do, especially like a working class people that I deal with, like my vendors and whatnot, and people that I work with at my shop. Like they just seem kind of uncomfortable with like, what do you mean you don't know? It's like, what are you, stupid? Or
right.
You think you're better than me? Is that what you think?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little uncomfortable, I'll get through it though.
Yeah. And people will definitely ask, but it is one of those things. I think, Elizabeth had to figure that out, and it depends on, again, who we're talking to and that sort of thing. Luckily, I don't work very much, but I could say, people know a podcast or YouTube now. So I could say, I have a podcast and a YouTube channel, and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And usually people don't ask too many follow-up questions, but some people are quite interested, and then I could, talk about it a little bit more. But all right. Well, as we're wrapping up here, are there any other like big things that you're a little scared or nervous about coming up?
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, the big thing is going to be sitting in the discomfort in the beginning and just wondering what that's going to be like. But I'm anticipating it's going to happen. And I'm very fortunate. I'm married to the best hype woman that ever walked the earth. So she'll coach me through it. And I'm really excited about it, man. I feel extremely fortunate to be in this position, and we're very, very thankful for it. And I'm pumped, man. I hope I have a full report for you a few months in.
I'm very excited for you. I'm glad you have the hype woman working for you and keeping you very confident and ready to do this. One last question / request. So it sounds like you're through the Hoffman process and perhaps even before, you were pretty thoughtful. You're going through, the morning and the evening routines. Do you journal at all? And will you be journaling? Because I think that could be super interesting, even on a weekly basis, where you have a check-in and it's like something that you could refer back to.
I've played with it in the past, and from doing like our morning check-ins, that's a little part of my journaling. But I really think I should, leading into it. I'm really going to be going through some serious emotions. So, and plus I could jot down whatever crazy ideas I'm having at the time.
Right.
So
Yes.
I think I will.
That is, yeah. And I feel like I don't know exactly your comedy writing process, but I mean, I think you'll probably have a lot of fun stuff that you could pull from journaling, even though it's emotional and raw and tough. And then I bet there's some funny stuff that you could work with there. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think so.
All right, Brad, where can people find you if you want them to find you at all?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I really don't post anything. I get tagged and stuff. And you can see me at EconoMe.
All right, cool. Well, I'll double check to see if you actually want to link up, or people can, try to go to EconoMe and see you there and or lurk around and find you. So, all right. Thanks, Brad. Really appreciate it.
Oh, excellent. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks for listening to the show. That was the Mile High 5 podcast, and I'm Doug Cunnington. If you dig the show, please do 3 things for us. Number 1, tell a friend, a family member, an enemy about the show. We really don't care who you tell. Maybe forward them a specific show that you know that they will like. It's the single most helpful thing that you can do to spread the word. It's like giving us a virtual high five, and actually we don't give high fives in person, so the virtual kind's pretty good. And more importantly, your friend or family member or even your enemy will appreciate the fact that you were thinking of them. Number 2, make sure you're following or subscribed on your podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, YouTube, whatever you're using, and that way you won't miss a show. And number 3, please leave us a rating and review. We read them on the show occasionally, and you might hear yours out there on an upcoming episode. Quick disclaimer, this show is not financial or legal advice. I'd actually be surprised if it sounded like it. It's really just for entertainment, and that's at least what we're hoping for. But seriously, get advice from professionals. So we'll catch y'all next week. You guys have gone to a few national parks this summer. Give me a rundown. Where'd you go? What are highlights?
Went to Yosemite National Park, hiked Wendell Falls, did a day out in the village, did the bottom Yosemite Falls, went to the valley, and then went to a little watering hole outside of the park. And then the next day went to, I think it was Mount Glacier. Drove up there and then went to a little watering hole. And then we went to Cuyahoga Falls this past weekend. And really, they had a little faux waterfall. It really takes a little bit off the experience when you're just coming from Yosemite. You're seeing a little waterfall in Ohio. Yeah, it was Brandywine Falls, and real nice hiking. It was nice to get away.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we went to Cuyahoga about a year ago and some change for the eclipse. So the eclipse in 2024 passed through close by. Ended up being great. It rained for several days, and then it was perfect blue skies for the eclipse. But we went to Cuyahoga, and it has a lot of great history. But to your point, I think most of Ohio kind of looks like that. I mean, it's just like a river with a forest around it. We rented some e-bikes and got to cover some ground. So I think we saw the Brandywine Falls as well. That's the signature falls right there, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the main attraction. We did a 2-hour train ride, which was extremely boring. Pretty much just saw a tree line very close, and you're just inside of a train kind of staring at each other at a 4-person table. So it kind of turned into just making faces at each other. It was exciting to go to the concession stand cart, 3 carts over, different setup in each cart. And you can kind of see the tracks in between each cart. Kind of feels like an action movie a little bit, and you're kind of keeping your balance. But that was the most exciting part about the train ride.
Interesting. But Yosemite, we haven't been there yet. So obviously, great park, but we've never been. And one of our quests is to visit all the national parks. So I think we're about 30 in. So we have 33 more to go. Yeah. It's a great thing that you could kind of stretch out over like a couple decades or so, depending.
Yeah, that's one of the heavy hitters. That's got to be one of the better ones. It's amazing.
I just got back from Yellowstone. I went with my dad, and we've been a bunch of times since we lived in Bozeman, and it's just a favorite park of ours. Yeah, it was great. It wasn't as crowded as I have experienced it in past years. And yeah, it's just a cool place to especially not be in a rush. And my dad and I have both been, so we were not in a rush, and we're able to just take our time and stay in the lodges. Have you guys been to Yellowstone?
Diane and Devin have. I haven't. It was the job. The job got in the way. It gets in the way of everything.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to make the trip out before too long. The Tetons are right there, and there's so much to see. It's hard to like figure out what you want to do. It's a huge park, and then you could focus on the geology or the animals or hiking or what, like there's a lot of different paths that you can try to do, but whatever it is, you're not going to have enough time to like do everything. So it's one of those where you got to really pick. I guess Yosemite is the same too.
Are you accustomed to taking one-on-one trips with your dad?
A little bit. Yeah, we have a few times. So my mom passed away in 2020, and since then, and actually before that, like I would occasionally go on a trip just with my parents while my wife, Elizabeth, was still working. So as I stopped doing as much work and I had more free time, I was like, oh yeah, I should try to spend time with my parents, like while they're still alive. So my mom and dad and our dog, Georgie, like drove up to Alaska from here in Longmont. So it's quite a long drive. And then my wife joined us for like a week in Anchorage because she was still working at the time. So anyway, yeah, I've been every couple of years like, hey dad, let's do a trip. So we went to Moab and Canyonlands and Arches via Moab a few years ago as well. So yeah, it's a good thing to do.